How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions, and of course, I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back, and these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about being chosen, right? And what rules do we have to follow by being chosen? So, I think the way that I would like to approach this subject is like this, right? So, as living on the earth, like we have to abide by actual law, right? Done by, like we have to adhere to what police say to us, right? So check this out. Who here, because I know myself, like, do you abide by all the laws? Let's just say the traffic laws. I know I haven't. In the past, I know that it's difficult to adhere to all of it, right? Why is that? Because naturally we have within us to push the envelope. That's why the police force is there in the first place, right? So think about ourselves like this, right? So, and I use that example to tell you this, is like we as being a chosen person. So what does that mean? I've said in previous videos, this being I think it's part 3, if I'm not mistaken, but, or part 2, whatever it is. So, the reason why I bring this up is because we can no longer live in a lifestyle where we're not abiding by rules or guidelines and principles, right? What are those rules? What are those guidelines? Where am I getting this information from, right? And so when we say that we're chosen, that we are chosen by the universe to bring a message to the rest of humanity, explaining to them. And most of us go about this in different ways, depending on what's on your heart space, right? What you want to give to the next person. So for me, my message essentially is to, and I'll say this really quickly, is to balance your mind, body, and soul. And there's different ways for each of those categories. But once you do that, you come to a place where you're able to help yourself, clear yourself away from the wreckage of your past, or the wreckage of your mind, whatever the case is, right? And once you do that, you're able to embrace what you were supposed to do on this earth. And you don't have to be sending the message, but if you're on this channel, most likely you are chosen. But in any case, all we're trying to do or I'm trying to do, is tell the next person that you have limitless power within you. All that needs to happen is that you need to dive within yourself so you can become the best you. So you can not only bring something to humanity, but you can also do what you love, right? A lot of us don't even think that we can do what our dreams are because we're not there. We're not spiritually there. We're not physically there, right? And you can only be there physically, mentally, or spiritually if you do the work that I talk about. And so that's what the message that I get out to the next person. So most of us that have this path have things going on with us, right? As the title of being chosen, you no longer can abide by the rules of earth. You have to abide by something higher. What is that higher? What is that? For me, you guys, this is what I've found. So I think first and foremost, you have to find something of where you're going to find your code and ethics. I don't think that there's one answer that fits all. Everyone is different. It's like each and every one of us carries a different message to the next person, right? Not all of us are saying the same thing. And we explain it quite differently, right? We all have our own little get up the way that we do it. Because we all have our own people that we're supposed to lock into, right? They're going to feel our vibe. And so I think the same way goes with finding you got to find somewhere you're going to know right from wrong. And it's not just as easy as knowing right from wrong. You have to know something more than that, right? And so an example that I like to use is that I read the Bible, right? Now, we can all say, no, I'm not a Bible thumper or a church thumper or whatever we call that, but there is some really valuable information within that book. Just like there's very valuable information that the Buddhists teach in Buddhism, Hinduism, right? Jews, they have their religion, which I study all of them. I don't just study the Bible, but I'm giving you an example, right? It's one of the many things that I learned from. So check this out. What I learned from that book is morality, how to live in a way that the universal, the source, God, wants us as chosen people to live. You have to live with virtues. You have to live with morality. You have to live with not just doing good and right. That's not enough anymore. Right? You have to abide by bigger. And some of those examples go on. It's like a structure of how we have to live. Right? It's not going and mating with anyone and everyone. So not sharing your energy in ways that you're not supposed to be, right? Because, well, it's not saying that you're not supposed to, but if you go and do that, there are going to be repercussions for that, right? Or lying, right? And there's many forms of lying, but if you find yourself in that low vibrational state and yet you're lying to people, that's how do they say, you reap whatever you sow, or whatever you reap you sow, or vice versa. I think it's whatever you sow you reap. So all that means is, in a universal way, is what you put out to the universe you're going to get back. So for us as chosen people, because we're gifted not only with sight, being able to see the future, being able to have these beautiful, because there are gifts for us chosen people, believe it or not, right? So, and I'll make a video about that as well. But to get into more detail is that we're no longer abiding by what is normal for everybody else. And what is that normal? Not everyone can abide by these rules, anyways. You think about the Ten Commandments. How many people break those laws already? If we're having issues with those, we're definitely having issues with other things, right? You no longer could have multiple partners. Because you're going to find the effects of it. You have to dedicate your time to your craft. You have to dedicate your time to self-love. You no longer can just be in anyone's environment. You have to be within people, places, and things that meet your frequency. What is your frequency? We call that vibe. What's your vibe? At the end of the day, all that means is that the people that you surround yourself with have to meet the same high vibrational state that you're in, right? So it goes without saying, whatever walk of life that you're coming from, just know that you have to have a base of where you're learning those types of lessons, right? And for me, I learned that from the Bible. So you might be learning it in a different way, right? Also, I like to implement my story in it just a little bit, right? Give it my flavor. So the Bible is a huge portion of how I learn, right, of right and wrong, and also the gifts that are taught within that. There's so many, right? It's just filled with valuable information. But I also learn lessons, life experience lessons, principles, guidelines through AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And they've taught me how to behave, how to have a routine, how to be disciplined, right? And so it's not just one source, right? We all have our own experiences, and how it works for you is how it works for you, but you have to find a process that works, right? Okay, and so I would say the last thing that I really have implemented in my life is the game changer is spirituality, right? Enlightenment, evolution, figuring out that I have power within me and that I affect the whole, the collective, right? And that I have within me the processes to help other people. And so I think if you want a base of what these guidelines are, is that you have to be a person of morals. You have to have a moral compass, virtues, striving to be righteous. And I don't mean I don't mean being holier than now or righteous in the way that like you're condemning another person. No, lift it up. We're all aiming to be better human beings and be better for ourselves as well as other people out in the universe, right? What are we all trying to do at the end of the day? What is it that you're trying to do? I have to sit myself down all the time and ask myself, Eddie, what are you doing? Right? And I realize, and like I think about it and I say to myself, all right, I get it. Because we can get locked into this mundane process. Right? What are you trying to do? You're trying to make a living, right? You go make that living, and then you come back home and you repeat the process. And of course, you have relationships within that. But what are we trying to do at the end of the day? I have to remind myself that I'm here for a reason. That I'm here to have soul growth, evolution. It's a process, right? So it's got to be a constant reminder of that. And so just know, you guys, that okay, so I wasn't completely specific on this is the rule that you need to follow. This is the rule that you need to follow because I believe that there's many ways to follow this process. Right? Another good I feel has been, and I'll end it with this, a good way for you to know. I would do research, and I think I'm going to make videos on this as well. When we talk about universal law, right? What are universal laws? I'm not going to go into detail with it, but we have to abide by, and the universe has to abide by it. So if the universe has to abide by it, so do you. It's important to know how the universe works, right? The law of gravity is one of them, right? Let's go figure out the rest, and I promise you it will open your mind to a whole new way of looking at things. Now, there's also principles, spiritual principles. It would behoove you to start learning those spiritual principles because when you apply these principles, you become healthier, happier, you live a more zestful life. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Wanted to keep it short, but I love you guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Give me a thumbs up. All right, guys.